This video discusses the depressing state of education and the economy in Bihar state in India. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. Bihar state in India is arguably the most corrupt among all Indian states and union territories. My purpose in this video is to shame the Bihar political leaders to perhaps change their ways. But I have zero hope that they will give up corruption by themselves that they have been used to since the earliest days of British rule in India in the late 18th century. I have documented that corruption in my book, Britain Does Not Owe Reparations to Its Former Colonies. But I will propose a radical solution at the end of the video. According to 2022 population estimates, Bihar is the second most populous state in India with an estimated population of 128.5 million. Only the state of Uttar Pradesh is larger with an estimated population of 231.5 million. Bihar is followed by Maharashtra with a population of 125 million. What prompted me to discuss Bihar is a recent article that was shared in my WhatsApp group titled Bihar School Principal Fails to Translate Hindi Sentence to English During Surprise Inspection, available at www.indiatimes.com. It is dated July 12, 2022. It is a brief account of a subdivisional officer who is the state government's administrative head for some blocks of a district for select departments. The SDO named Ravindra Kumar, who made a surprise visit to a government school in the Pakti Dayal block region of the Motihari district and met the principal of the school. The principal taught English and Sanskrit at the school. The SDO, or the subdivisional officer, asked the principal to translate a very simple sentence in the Hindi language, "Main Vidyalaya jata hoon," into English. The English translation is, "I go to school." The principal repeated the sentence in Hindi, then muttered something softly. The principal showed lack of confidence in his translation, though he had the correct translation. The inspector repeated the sentence in Hindi, implying that the principal did not have the right translation. Then the principal stated the correct translation, "I go to school," and repeated it, but the SDO still did not seem to agree with him. Then the SDO asked the principal to translate the sentence into Sanskrit. I don't know Sanskrit, so I cannot comment whether the principal was right or not in his translation, though the inspector seemed to confidently provide the correct Sanskrit translation, and the principal seemed to have accepted the correction. What further surprised me was the reporting by the TV channel Bihar Tak. The headline of the news report was, "Bihar school principal fails to translate Hindi sentence to English during surprise inspection," when in fact the principal had the correct translation. The whole exercise resulted in public insulting and humiliation of the principal, which an education inspector should not be doing, as insulting the principal will only lead to loss of morale in the school and the school system, as the story would spread to other schools. But the story points to lack of competence of the teachers teaching in the Bihar school system. The principal lacked confidence in conversing in the two languages he taught. But since the inspector himself made a mistake, it shows lack of professional competence in the state administrative machinery. The Bihar Taka report also stated, following the inspection, Ravindra Kumar, the SDO, advised the teachers to prepare ahead of time before showing up for their regular classes. Furthermore, he claimed that professors no longer engage in self-study. The education department should conduct orientation programs for the teachers, he said. Teachers have lost the habit of self-study. The education department should give proper training to teachers from time to time, Ravindra Kumar said after the inspection. The SDO has provided common suggestions for teacher improvement, which should already have been implemented in a normal school system, but indicates that these continuing education principles for retraining and updating teacher skills are not being followed in the Bihar school system. The literacy rate, according to the latest 2017 figures available, Bihar has the third lowest in the country at 70.9%, whereas India's average is 77.7%. Only Andhra Pradesh at 66.4%, and Rajasthan, which is a desert state, so people are living far apart, at 69.7% are lower. The atrocious state of education and its quality in Bihar is reflected in metrics for comparison of states. The most telling statistic is the per capita GDP. Here are the per capita GDPs of some states and union territories which are administered by the central government with their populations in millions. The state of Goa, 1.52 million population, $6,227 per capita GDP. Sikkim, 0.66 million, $5,762 per capita. Delhi state, 19.3 million, 5,374 GDP. Haryana, 28.9 million, $3,537 GDP. Telangana, 38.16 million, $3,333 GDP. Karnataka, 69.6 million, 3,188. Gujarat, 70.4 million, 3,056. Tamil Nadu, 83.7 million, $3,048. Maharashtra, 124.9 million, $2,887 per capita. Punjab state, 30.5 million, 2,164. West Bengal, 100.9 million, $1,735. Madhya Pradesh, 85 million population, 1,450 per capita GDP. Uttar Pradesh, the largest state, 231.5 million, per capita GDP, $934. Bihar, 128.5 million population, $661 per capita GDP. This is per annum. $661 per year per capita GDP. You can see that Bihar is dead last in per capita GDP in the entire country. The biggest state in India, Uttar Pradesh, which is run by also another corrupt Rajput chief minister, has a per capita GDP that's 41% higher. Another state of equal size in Bihar is Maharashtra, which has a GDP which is more than 5 times higher than that of Bihar. The small state of Goa has a per capita GDP that is 9.4 times higher than Bihar. We can see the effect of corruption in my home state in India of Punjab, which I am familiar with. About 3 decades ago, the per capita GDP of Punjab state was 50% higher than India's average GDP. It was also the state with the highest per capita GDP in the entire country. It was the most prosperous state in India. India's average GDP today is 2,277 based on 2021 figures. Punjab is now at about the average. Due to corruption, its GDP growth is the lowest in the country. Now, corruption in Bihar is the worst in the country. Over the past nearly 75 years since India's independence, most of the money meant for public expenditure in irrigation, transportation projects have been siphoned off by state politicians. Condition of bus stands maintained by the state is so bad that a little rain causes the stands to become muddy, so that buses have to drive through mud and passengers have to wade through mud. Over the past 75 years, whenever there is a famine in India, Bihar is usually involved. Bihar is disproportionately affected by floods because all the expenditures on water management, irrigation, and flood control have been diverted into the pockets of politicians. Entrepreneurs are reluctant to set up businesses in Bihar because of the bribes demanded by politicians in power. Bribes are taken for giving jobs. As a result, the brightest college graduates don't get the teaching jobs or other jobs. One metric for quality of education is the number of students who go for higher studies abroad from each state per 100,000 population. Here are select statistics from key large states. Punjab state, students who study abroad 859 per 100,000 population. Delhi 825, Goa 344 per 100,000 population. Kerala 341, Gujarat 252, Telangana and Andhra states 219, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra 212, Tamil Nadu 196, Rajasthan 83 per 100,000 population, Madhya Pradesh 38 per 100,000 population, Uttar Pradesh 36, Bihar 13 students who study abroad for higher education out of 100,000. The state of Punjab, its rate of students who study abroad is more than 78 times more than more than 66 times. And Tripura is a tiny state with a population of 4.185 million, which has students who study abroad at 11 per 100,000 population. So India's average is 163 according to a question answered in India's parliament. So this shows that degrees awarded by Bihar colleges are not worth much. That's why graduates don't get jobs for years after obtaining their degrees. Recently, a story was run about a Bihari girl, Priyanka Gupta, who obtained her degree in economics in 2019 but was unable to get a job for 2 years. So she set up a tea stall. There are others who keep preparing for and taking different exams for government jobs for 5 to 7 years after graduation but don't get the jobs. Then they become overage and no longer qualified for those entry level jobs. Others clear the exams but still don't get jobs as bribes are required or because of nepotism. So here is the admission from a well-educated Bihari about the impression of Biharis on Quora, which is a social question and answer website at www.quora.com. This is what the well-educated Bihari writes. As we all know, the term Bihari is used as slang in some northern parts of India, mostly in Delhi, as a slang to address or demoralize a person or to make him feel inferior. The image has been tarnished by the politicians of the state. They took the state in the dark age to the dark ages. They divided the state in the name of casteism and built a system based on corruption, red tape, and sycophancy. Because of this, crime rate increased, and with it, Naxal groups such as Ranveer Sena or an MCC, which are terror groups of communist-based terror groups. Money meant for development went into the pockets of politicians and babus or lower mid-level government employees, thus creating a bad name for Bihar. In the United States, one does not see many prominent Biharis who have made it big in academics, government, in the corporate world, or as entrepreneurs. But one such Bihari who's made it sufficiently big is Dr. Ashish Jha, serving as the White House Coronavirus Response Coordinator, on leave from Brown University School of Public Health, where he served as the dean. Though Dr. Jha has gained some fame, he sometimes reads his answers from notes during press briefings. With a population of 128 million, surely one would have expected hundreds, if not thousands, of prominent Biharis in the United States. But there just aren't that many successful Biharis in Bihar and abroad compared to other Indians. which is a sign of the lack of quality of education in Bihar. The source of Bihar's problems is the rule of murderers. Top Bihar leaders murdered a person of British descent or a Sikh to receive financial rewards from the Indian allies of the Germans. The financial rewards they received are the ability to divert Bihar's government public expenditures to their own accounts without the central government prosecuting them. Just a handful of such murderers have looted the state exchequer for the past 75 years and maintained control of state government. Bihar will not make progress until the state gets rid of such politicians and Biharis elect legislators who will not be corrupted. Of course, the big question is who is going to bring about this change, or how is this revolution going to take place? Though there is no ray of hope one can see right now, but it is possible. It depends on the people, the voters. Voters of Punjab have done it and got rid of the corrupt politicians. Leaders like Bhagwant Mann and his team must, like his Aam Aadmi Party team in Punjab, must emerge in Bihar, who will not be corrupted, and people of Bihar must elect them for Bihar to have a chance. Otherwise, the last hope for Bihar is that there will be a revolution in India which will eliminate all murderers who rule in most states and in the central government and are allied with the Germans. Only once when such people in the rest of India are eliminated by being executed for their crimes, the hope is that those in Bihar will also be eliminated so that people can then elect clean politicians and prosecute those who yield to corruption and put them behind bars for a long time so that such behavior will be discouraged in the future. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos and read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels, Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, to view and get information on the latest videos. Some people do not have the time to go through the full length of videos. They find it more convenient to read the text of the video. Unfortunately, YouTube does not provide the capability to make the text of my videos available on YouTube. But fortunately, Facebook does provide that capability. So I make the text of my videos available on my Facebook channel, which you can easily copy.